hearing from workers who say, Bernie, we can't make it on 8 or 9 or 10 bucks an hour, working and working, we're going nowhere in a hurry. And that is why I believe nationally we have got to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. If somebody is working 40 hours a week, that person should not be living in poverty. That person should have some security. This campaign is listening to senior citizens and disabled veterans. You know, a country is judged not by how many millionaires and billionaires it has. A country is judged by how it treats the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us. Today in America, there are millions of seniors and disabled veterans trying to make it on $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security. And you know what? They cannot make it on $11,000 or $12,000. Nobody can. And now what we've got is a lot of Republicans running all over the country saying they want to cut Social Security. You're right. We have some very bad news for those Republicans. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. This campaign is listening to women. And what women are saying is, how does it happen, Bernie, that I go to work and I end up making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men? That is wrong. That is nothing more than old-fashioned sexism. And I know that every man in this arena will stand with the women as we fight for pay equity. This campaign is listening to young people. And what young people are telling me is, how does it happen, Bernie, that for the first time in the modern history of America, our generation may have a lower standard of living than our parents? My dad came to this country from Poland without a nickel in his pocket. He never made any money. But his dream was that his kids would do better than he did, and that's what happened. That is the American dream. And it is not acceptable to me that for millions of families, that dream is disappearing. And what young people also tell me is, you know, our teachers, our parents, everybody told us how important it was for us to get all of the education that we could, that education was so important. Well, if education was so important, how come we left school $30,000 or $50,000 in debt? And those young people, all right, I have talked to people who are paying off their student debt for decades. People who are paying half of their income in student debt repayment. Now, we should not be punishing young people for getting an education. We should be rewarding them. Education is what life is about. They should not have to be crippled economically for decades for doing what is the right thing. 50 years ago, when we talked about public education, it was quite appropriate to talk about that, meaning first grade through 12th grade free public education. The world has changed. The economy has changed. People today need more education than they used to. And that is why I believe that when we talk about public education in the year 2016, we must be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. That is not a radical idea. It exists already in Germany and Scandinavia, countries all over the world who have the wisdom to invest in their young people and the future of their countries. And we also, when we do that, you know what that means? What that means is that every kid in the state of Washington in the 4th grade or the 6th grade, kids who came from families like mine that did not have a lot of money, those kids will know that if they study hard and do well in school, regardless of the income of their families, they will get a college education. And what that also means, and what we have also got to do, is to significantly lower the student debt burden facing millions of Americans. And one way we can do that is to allow people with student debt to refinance their loans at the lowest possible interest rates they can find. What this campaign is about is asking people to think outside of the box, not to accept the status quo or think that what exists today has to go on year after year after year. We can create an educational system where all of our people get the education they need regardless of their income. That is not a radical idea. This campaign is listening to the Latino community. And I want to thank, just before we came up here, I had the opportunity to meet with some of the leaders in that community. And what I hear from the Latino community are several things. Number one, we have 11 million undocumented people in this country, and many of those people are living under the shadows. They are living in fear, and they want, and I want, a comprehensive immigration reform bill. And a path toward citizenship. We have got to stop the exploitation of undocumented people that is taking place today. And if Congress does not do its job and pass comprehensive immigration reform, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to make it happen. Immigration reform is uniting families, not dividing families. Immigration reform is ending the deportations that are taking place right now. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Native American community. And I just had the honor of meeting with some of the leaders of the Yakima Nation, and I appreciate that opportunity. Everyone who has studied American history for 5 minutes knows that the way this country, and even before we were a country, treated the Native Americans is absolutely shameful. Native Americans have been lied to, they have been cheated, and treaties negotiated in good faith have been broken. This country owes so much to the first Americans. Some of the best parts of our culture come from Native Americans, and perhaps more than any other people, the Native American people have taught us respect for the environment, understanding that if this planet is to survive, we have got to live with nature, be a part of nature. And that we cannot expect this planet to survive if we destroy nature. If elected president, there will be a new relationship with the Native American community. And this campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are asking, how does it happen that we could spend trillions of dollars fighting a war in Iraq that we never should have fought, and yet minority neighborhoods like Flint, Michigan, and other cities all over this country are falling apart. Kids in these communities are not getting the education they deserve. Housing is abysmal. Unemployment is sky high, and health care is often not available. It is time to change our national priorities. It is time to stop corporate welfare. It is time to stop giving billionaires tax breaks. Let us reinvest in inner city America and rebuild those communities. And when we talk about rebuilding our communities and our infrastructure, understand that Flint, Michigan is not the only city in America that has serious water problems. Hundreds of communities do, and in many more communities, our bridges are falling apart, our roads are undrivable, our rail system is falling behind other countries, our levees and dams and airports need work. And that is why I believe that we've got to make $1 trillion investment, rebuild our infrastructure, and create 13 million jobs. We can rebuild our infrastructure. Think of what it means in America. New bridges, better roads, better water systems, and we create millions of jobs doing it. That's an imperative. The other, and when we talk about the crises that we face, I am a member of the Senate Committee on the Environment, and let me report to you that the scientific community is virtually unanimous. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity.